Well, hey, Christy.
Hi, Kelly. How are you?
I realize this is episode 2, and we may have forgotten to actually introduce ourselves or talk about why we're even here in episode 1, which is that totally tracks.
Well, first of all, let's be clear. Episode one was supposed to be practice. You're the one who just decided to go ahead and post it. So the
Listen,
trust between us now is very, very strong. I'm like, oh, she won't post anything you don't want. Oh, wait, no, there's you sick in your
you're,
jammies with no makeup on.
in fairness, it wasn't jammies. It was your night before's top, you said.
Well, I'm Christy Diesel. I'm an entrepreneur. I was forced into that. That was not a path I chose. I always thought I was just going to climb the corporate ladder. And it turns out there was a very different plan for me. But I love it. I own a marketing and advertising agency. I love the work we do. I love the people we work with. I've been told to shut up my whole life because I have the gift of gab. And so, it made sense for me to do a podcast because maybe then in the rest of my life, I can shut up a little bit more.
Or
So
no
that's
one, no one can tell you to shut up on a podcast except maybe me.
You can tell me to shut up, but
Well, I'm Kelly. I have been on the corporate ladder. I've not been in entrepreneurship except for one little stint with my bestie. And I think I've been doing that for 20 plus years. I've been told to shut up. Yeah, my whole life. I once got paid a quarter to shut up by my dad. We were driving in the car. I'm the third of 3, but all like in successive years. One, crazy mom. And we were driving somewhere, and I remember having a tea towel, and my dad was like, I'll give you each a quarter for like every 15 minutes or whatever it was that you could shut up. So needless to say, I had a tea towel around my mouth and never got a dime. So this feels like the right place for me to be. And then you always want to have someone that you can gab with, and no one can tell us to shut up here unless we run out of time. So I'm excited to get started. I was so excited to get started that even though it was a test run, there was some funny shit in there, and we had already told people we were doing this. So I'm like, let's put it out there.
Hey, 2025 for me is action. It's all about
There you
action.
go.
Let's fucking go. That
There
would be
we
my
go.
motto for 2025.
LFG, LFG.
All right,
Oh my
let's
God.
talk about vertically unstable.
Yeah, how did we even get to this name, and why are we named this? What are
Well,
we getting at?
together, you and I are vertically unstable. If I got on your shoulders, I mean, you're pretty tall. You're 6 foot, right?
Yeah,
I'm 5'7". If I got on your shoulders, we're really tall.
we're a gigantic woman.
No, so vertically unstable, it just speaks to, for me, just that like I always seem to think that next year, the next birthday or whatever, the older I get, I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
And the more stable things will become. Same thing career wise, right? Like, man, I used to, when I was young, I'd look up at like all the directors and VPs and be like, they have their shit together. And what I've realized is, guess what?
yeah.
The older you get and the higher you climb, the more unstable you actually are. And so
No.
I think for me, embracing that in what we're doing is like, you have people that pretend to have their everything together. I am not one of those people. I will never be one of those people. And if I tell you that, I am straight lying to your face.
Exactly.
I think I just spit.
It's like when you get dressed in the morning and you see yourself in the mirror and you're like, I look good. I got this. And then at some point you're at events where someone will take a picture of you and you look at that picture and you're like, the fuck? I did not look like either the camera or the mirror is lying to me, but one of you is lying to me. That's kind of like your grown up life. You're like, I got this. And then your fucking front tooth falls out and you're like, I don't got this. I don't got this.
I know you think the chiclet is bad. Kelly, tell us how you lost your front tooth.
I've had my tooth at the front bonded for many years. And the other day, last week, my daughter bought me Easter cream eggs, which love them or hate them, I love them.
Cadbury ones?
Yes. And she knows I love them. So she found them at Target. She found them at Target. She got them and I was so excited. We put them in the fridge because I like them super cold. And I like to just crack the top off them so that I can like eat them savagely with my fingers. I know. And so on the
Kelly,
I know.
don't admit to that again.
You should see me eat a Three Musketeers. And so I like cracked the top off this fucking egg and it was very crunchy. I'm like, what? And there was my fucking tooth. So I was going to a sales meeting. I needed a quick fix, went and got it bonded. And then this Thursday, I went back to actually get them to grind it down to put porcelain veneer on top. So you have to have a temporary tooth for a couple of weeks. The first go at the temporary tooth was a fucking chiclet. And I went to work. I was on Teams calls and I'm like, it's glowing and it's sticking out like, oh, like I wanted to start saying y'all. I,
Easy. I say y'all. And my
I know
teeth
you
look
do.
just fine. Look, see?
Yeah. Well, I went into work yesterday. Big mistake. My team was like, oh, it's not that bad. And then they saw me and they're like, oh, I take it back. It's terrible. One of the girls on my call put that in the team's chat because that basically is what I look like. So I got them to take it down. I went back in yesterday because I'm too vain. Shave this bitch down. It's too long. And now this thing is perpetually falling out. So if we're talking and this chiclet falls out, you're going to have a laugh. You're going
It
to have a
does.
laugh.
I think you should just take it out. I think
I'm not taking it.
this podcast is about being real and raw. Let's talk about let's pull our teeth out. No, not
Okay,
really.
the moment you pull your eyelashes off, that's when I know.
Listen, you said yesterday's mascara, and I'm like, I don't wear mascara because I have fake lashes. I like to be. It's my low maintenance, high maintenance thing. It's like,
I know.
right?
I've done them one time and I really liked them, but the problem is when they come out, as you know, they take the full adult lashes with them and all you're left with are these wispy little baby lashes and you look like a panda without the black circles like your piss holes in a snowbank. I can't.
Well, first of all, I have not seen that in 3 years, so I have no idea.
You're never without.
It's almost like my hair color, right?
Okay.
I have been dyeing it for 25 years.
Dyeing it to go because you want blonde, not brown, or dyeing it to
blonde.
cover?
So I have a lot of sisters. They're all brunettes. When I was like 19, I'm like, I'm going to be a blonde.
How many siblings do you have total?
God, 9. I'm in the middle of 9. I should really, I should sell myself to science or like psychologists and be like, hey, study me. This could be fun.
You're kind of not the typical middle child though, because those ones are usually like the peacemakers. Well, I mean, you're peacemaking in a funny way, but they're not usually so bold. Like I'm a baby, and so my boldness is rank and order.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some research on that because I am a peacemaker. Now, I like a good row and I love a good debate, but I will eat shit with a fork and a knife not to have family drama. And I will be like, okay, I'm just going to move right past this.
I think that's a phrase I've never actually heard. I eat shit, yes. Wouldn't say shit if your mouth was full of it, yes. Eat shit with a fork and a knife, no, but it's very polite of you.
It is. It's very demure of me. It's my demure side. You were talking about the snow, and I just got done doing something. I actually think my hands, maybe I didn't get them totally clean. We had all this snow, okay? And
okay.
I've got this. I'm like continually like, I'm like, it kind of smells like dog shit up here. So maybe it's on my shoe. Who knows? So I'm new to having an animal, and it snowed a ton here. And Sunny, micro mini golden doodle, it turns out she pooped all over my deck. And so when the snow melted, I go out there and there's like this like shit everywhere, and it's like kind of smushed in and whatever. This all is dog poop. And so I didn't know what to do.
You were shoveling the snow off your deck, or you were there?
No, it melted.
Oh, it had all melted away. Oh, so you had the post-snow poopsicles that were kind of like mushy wet-ish.
Yeah, and I didn't want to touch them because that's disgusting. So I have a tea kettle. Yes, it's very British of me. I have a tea kettle. And I went outside, I boiled some water and I poured the boiling water on it because I didn't know what else to do. It was a failure.
I got just a couple quick questions. First off, your deck is there a underneath? Is it above, a second level?
It is above, yes. And which now I'm afraid of what's underneath that got covered in dog poo.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Dog poo.
Because I'm guessing, as most good contractors do, they place spaces in between the boards. So my thinking is your thinking was, I'll melt it with the hot water and it'll go underneath the deck.
I just wanted it to go away. Kelly,
On
really,
the
there
bright
was
side,
not
on
a
the
lot of
bright side,
thinking.
you know,
It's concrete. And all of my
you just
kids.
pressure wash it.
Okay,
Just pressure wash it. It's fine.
we got to
It
move on
would.
from this one because this is kind of this. I'm like, this was not my smartest move ever. I mean,
Yeah, that was
I
not.
was like,
But thank you. You're giving me a good topic for like dog ownership 101. And first off, let me just say, I'm not new to dog ownership. I love the shit out of my dogs. I just paid $7,000 to get cataract surgery on my doodle. That's not the most I've spent on this dog because he has like this habit of eating underwear and pajama bottoms. So, I mean, take your advice from me with a grain of salt.
okay, yeah, because Sunny cost me $7,000. She's going to the glue factory. I mean, is that a thing? I
That's
don't know.
horses. Did you mean like when they kill horses and they turn them into glue?
I don't know what I meant. I know nothing about what happens to animals or any of that.
We could talk about that one time. What else should we talk about on this podcast? Definitely. I think we definitely need to spend time focusing on some female specific stuff because, as you know, I get some fired up about some of this stuff. I do.
Kind of psycho.
Competitiveness in women. I love competitive sports. Played them, watched them, raised kids in them. Fucking love it. Losing is silver is first loser. Like I love competitive
I
sports.
know you don't
However,
remember movie quotes.
yes,
There is one that says, "If you're not first, you're last," and it's from
exactly.
Talladega Nights. It's a comedy, and like this kid has it in his head: "If you're not
You're not
first, you're
first, you're
last."
last. Yeah,
So
like
great, awesome.
you don't win silver, you lost gold. I'd rather have a bronze. At least I won the fucking game. But anyways, I think there's deep-seated competitiveness, but where I do not have competitiveness is against women on the climb up that ladder. This notion that we think we have to dim each other's light to shine brighter. Fuck no.
Hate that. I hate
Let's
that.
talk. Let's talk about that. We have some fierce female leader friends. Let's get some on here and talk about that because it is a whole thing.
We should definitely talk about that. And I think that happens also, just in general, right? With moms. And it's like, hey, guys, like, we're here to help each other. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
versus compete and be
Oh
the
my.
best. And, oh,
Did you
my daughter did this and I did this. And
put gluten in your muffins? Oh my God. Did you see her? Did you see when she came in? Lady.
no, 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 thank you. No, thank you.
No,
No,
ma'am.
thank you.
We
Yeah.
can definitely talk about that. Yes, for
So
sure. I stepped on nobody on my way up here. Thank you.
I may have stepped on a few toys on my way up the stairs today, almost broke my neck, but to get to here. But no, yeah, I totally agree. It comes to women and the idea of scarcity, right? Like there's only so many of us that can be successful, and that's just not true.
Well, I think I have a friend who, really believes that if we go all the way back to cavemen days, men physically fought for who was in charge, and whoever was the strongest killed all the lions, got their choice of ladies. The ladies were there in the cave competing for the attention of the man who would choose them to make the babies. And so her thinking is like
Sorry, I
way back
just
in the
vomited in
day,
my mouth.
but way back in those days that might be where this scarcity mindset comes from. I also think we believe there's only so many seats at the table, so we think we have to fight each other for the seat. Like, nah, get another fucking table then.
Or get another chair, or hey,
Yeah,
you know
pull up
what?
a chair, bring your own chair.
Sit on my chair or sit on my
Exactly.
lap. I mean,
Sure.
you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
just like sit on my lap. It'll be fine. That
We'll
sounds
be
creepy.
fine.
I didn't
Okay,
mean
but
it in a
not in a weird
creepy
way.
way.
You definitely should never say that at work. But you're an entrepreneur. Maybe you can say that. If I say that at work, somebody's calling HR. So definitely let's
Come and
not.
sit on my lap.
Here, you
Well, and
little
that's,
man.
I mean, it is the nice thing about being an entrepreneur because you do get to, live and talk and speak from your really authentic self. But I think if that translated over more into the corporate world, people would be so much happier at their jobs. Imagine if when you went into work, you didn't have to take the corporate drone shower,
Yeah.
where you start using really big words that aren't necessary.
The whole corporate speak. I love every one of those TikToks that shows you like corporate speak and then circle back and
Yes.
like all that stuff. There's a few that I actually keep a tally in meetings, like in a text tally. I'm like, okay, it's 5-1. Like people say, I listen. I refuse as much as I can. I refuse to be anyone different at work than I am at home. And honestly, if it gets to a place where I have to be somebody phony all the time just to be in the job, then I'm in the wrong job, because guess what?
Absolutely.
I kind of like who I am. And it took me a long time to get to the place where I wasn't apologetic to myself for being the way I am.
Amen.
So thanks. So why am I taking that to work? The better part of my week? Nah,
I
no,
mean, you spend more time with people that you work with
for
than
sure.
you do your own family. And so it's like, but
Exactly.
you're constantly this, like everyone has to act the same and be the same.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when I had a moment when I was, I think like 24 and I first started out in advertising, and I was really trying to fit in. Like I was really
Mm.
trying to be like the corporate, I mean, in advertising, which is like, still kind of a feral environment. It can be.
I was going to say creative, but feral is also
It can
accurate.
be very feral. And one of my head bosses, I was crying. I'm a crier. So if you see me cry on this podcast, I don't believe crying is weakness. It's just
No,
something that happens. And I'm a
sometimes those
crier,
are,
and
yeah,
I
those
am
can be
passionate.
murder tears. Make no mistake. This is
Make
steam out
make
of
no
this fucking
mistake.
kettle. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
make no mistake. So I don't remember what had happened, but I had gotten some feedback from another team that was it was just mean. Like it
Mm.
was like just mean feedback. It wasn't constructive. And I was in my big boss's office and I started crying. And I'm like, I just don't know how to be someone
Different.
I'm not.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he said, Diesel, because that's my last name. And a lot of people have called me Diesel for a really long time. And he said, what you are is a badass. Don't change that part of you, because that's the authentic part that people are drawn to. And if people don't like you, fuck them. You do a great job.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was funny because for the first time, I was, like you, I mean, I'm the middle of 9 kids. We were all told to shut up all the time.
Yeah.
Me especially, though, because I am a talker. A talker, just who I am. And it was kind of the first time in my life where I was validated in just who I was. Like, what you are at your core is amazing, and you can't teach that. So please don't change that part of you.
What a great person to have given you that feedback too, though, right? Like that takes a very strong leader. Gender is not even a single part of this. As a leader, period, to look at somebody and just be so honest and vulnerable with them too, to say, hey, don't change that. Because a lot of people in leadership positions can be very intimidated by someone whose core is that kind of power, right? It is. I had a friend talking with me the other day recently who used the word sovereignty to describe that. It is wisdom and age and experience and the way you hold yourself in the room, and think sovereignty relates to kings and queens and all of that vibe they give off. And what a great description of that, right? And if you're a leader who is more of a do as I say, not as I do, or a subject matter expert who's like driving, do this because I know best, and you have someone like that that you recognize is just a different level of leader, and you're okay saying to them, lean into that. Do not shy away from that. That is so, so powerful.
I still tell him to this day, it changed my life. And actually it was my boss's boss and his boss, and both of them were in this conversation
Mm,
and had the same feedback. And to this day, they changed the trajectory of my life. They
I
truly
think,
did, because they said, hey
yeah,
kid,
you're
what you
good.
got in there is special. And the fact that you're curious and ask constant questions will take you so far. And
Yeah.
people that don't like that are afraid of you.
Yeah, exactly. Or people who have it and are afraid to just show it are maybe envious that you're not afraid to show it, right? I look at
I
some
don't know how
folks.
to hide it, Kelly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
It's
not
too
that I'm not
hard.
afraid.
It's
I'm like,
like
I don't even know how to
it's like
hide it.
being the Hulk. It's coming out. I can't stop
I'm
it.
like,
Yeah, no, I
here it
get it.
comes.
I had some female friends who I worked in the hospital and they were in the industry. And when I got into the industry, I had the great pleasure of working with them, and they were probably 20 years my senior. And I remember one of them, Liba, she was like, "You will run this company one day." And I was like 28, maybe 29. And I just started in industry. And I'm like, I don't know what you see in me, but the fact that you see it as, the woman you are with the experience you have, I will never forget that. You're just like, okay, somebody else sees I got it. So all the times that you're doubting yourself or you're like, oh, I really fucked that up. It's like, no, no, no. Who I am at the root is cool. I got this. It doesn't always stay there though. I've spent some time in this last year, like questioning that. So your surroundings make you question it. Stuff happens in your life. You're like, ooh, maybe I got it wrong. And then you're like, wait a minute. I refuse. I refuse to doubt. Nobody gave me that. Nobody gave them the power to make you doubt yourself, but you. You
But it
gave it to them.
happens. It
Yeah. Oh
happens, right?
God,
I
yeah.
mean, it
Oh
comes back to
God.
the being unstable thing, right? Like I can sit here and in this moment in time, I'm in this like really great, hey, I have worth just as I am without
Yeah.
changing anything. But it hasn't always been that way, of course. And especially, as you start to climb and you start to get influence over people, there will be those that don't want you to have it for whatever reason.
Oh my God, you be sitting up top of that ladder, but you best take a look down because one, you're probably standing on a fucking circle of quicksand, and there's likely a couple of people with tiny pickaxes chopping out the rungs of your goddamn ladder. So be careful up there, because
Listen,
what is that? What is that? Careful when you stick your neck out, because that's the first thing that's coming up. I'm not saying you shouldn't aim high, but just be aware.
this is what my trick to not having that happen to me is. At the top of my ladder, there's a platform and there's a
Mm,
bunch of other ladders and there's a bunch of people sitting with me.
mm. I
And I
do
think,
love that about our logo. We are sitting on the top of some buildings, but we're not there alone.
no, and I think that's the key. At least it's been the key in my life after all of the ups and downs of business and entrepreneurship and all of those things is I'm like, I don't want to be at the top of a ladder. I want to be on a platform with people that I love and that I trust, and their ladders are supporting it too. So if somebody's ladder gets knocked out, we're
Yeah,
all
come on
still
over.
okay.
Scooch over. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Scooch
I'm with
over,
you. Yeah, I'm
right?
with you.
We'll build that ladder back up real quick.
Yeah,
But so I
exactly.
think, and because I think like that, and maybe it's because I'm in the middle of 9 kids and I've been on a team my whole life, whether I liked it or not.
Yeah, yeah,
But
exactly.
I'm like, people are like, it's lonely at the top. I'm like, only if you don't have a platform.
You know, it's
Platform.
it's
Bench
funny when
strength. Bench strength.
strength. I remember when my son was like maybe 2 or 3 years old. I was driving on the highway in Toronto and the moon was shining really brightly in the car. I said something about, "Hey, Brady, did you notice the moon is shining so bright today?" The passenger seat of the car with me was a girlfriend of mine who has done fabulously in healthcare, runs, outpatient programs for a whole hospital system in Canada. Anyways, he says, "Mom," in the backseat in his booster, "Mom, did you know that the moon doesn't actually shine? That it reflects the sun's light and it glows?" And my friend and I are just looking at each other like, did you know that? That I don't
Wait, hold on. Did you
that
not
sound
know that? Because we got to talk about Canadian education if you didn't.
I mean, I did not know that. But my theory, listen, that sounds like that was probably in a geography class, and I fucking hated geography and history. They can both pound sand. However, here's the point of my story. It's not about my backwards education. The point of my story
Canadian education.
The point of my story is this. I realized this in later in life, in leadership and in leadership as a woman. There is a belief that you need to dim others' lights for yours to shine brighter. I know women who do that. I believe that you can help them shine brightly and you will glow off the shine of their light. So I'm going to be the moon. Be the moon. That's what I'm going to be.
Also, am like, surround yourself with the best people because then you don't have to do as much.
All of that is just being smart. I don't even
I'm
think
like,
I don't even think we
I'm
could
not,
teach you that in school. I
I
think you
mean,
should just learn that.
I
Yes,
meet someone who I think is like better than me at something. I'm like, I want you on my team
for sure.
because guess what?
Because I need
That's the
you to
list I
carry
have to
this
do.
load. Because I'm
Yes.
fucking busy. I'm with you.
Yes.
Part one,
But,
part two.
we could talk about leadership all day long. We'll have lots and lots of conversations about leadership with different people on, different guests. Other topics that we want to cover are things like women's health and
Yes.
specifically women's health. It's like, I feel like in this country, and it's like once you're done having babies, it's like no one talks to you about anything until you're 60,
You're
right?
done. You're
You're done.
invisible.
Like, you
You're
are you
invisible.
are part of the lost women, right? No one preps you for perimenopause, for menopause. Like it's just like this.
Figure your shit out and come back to me when you're like ready to go into the nursing home. That's what
Exactly.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I on a daily learn something new about my body that I'm like, how come no one told, why isn't there like a class on this? Like, this is what's about to happen to you. And this is why you gain weight, or this is why you suddenly have brain fog. And here's how you can combat it. And all of those things. So women's health is going to be another topic for sure.
Sure. And let's not forget when we're on the topic of women's health and generally what you learn about yourself and what you should actually advocate for and tell two friends about, because we shouldn't keep this shit a secret. If you learn something that works, share it. It's like the ultimate TikTok life hack. But there's a whole other bit around just inequity in the way women's health is approached.
Oh my God.
Education of
Don't get me
physicians,
started.
what happens when you go into emerge. There's so much there that you have to then figure your shit out yourself, share it with friends, and then advocate the hell out of every time that you're having an interaction for your health. You know you best. And when you're just off, keep pushing.
It's funny you say that. So you've been in healthcare for your career, right? I'm in
Mhm.
advertising. I worked on everything from, Super Bowl ads for Chrysler to, I don't know, floor cleans for Juicy Juice, right? And everything in between. So only about 5 years ago did I get into the health space. Which I love. I still work across any business because guess what? Marketing is an equation. It's applicable. You don't have to be a subject matter expert in a certain industry to learn the industry and understand. I digress. This is not a marketing podcast. I learned a couple years ago that, and I need to look this up and like confirm its truth, but I was told that here in the US, the FDA did not require pharmaceutical companies to
To include women.
to include women in their testing until 1994, which means so many of the legacy drugs that we all take haven't been tested on women.
Nah.
And the reason was because of the hormonal cycle, because it's going to affect your body different based on where you are in your cycle and where your hormones are balanced or unbalanced. And I was like, that's criminal. Like, that is freaking criminal.
It's interesting. It's true for way more than pharmaceutical drugs. Even in implantable devices, the same thing happens when in reality, the majority of the patients who can receive them, given the age of most patients once they're in the condition that requires them to get this device, will be women. And it's like, wait a minute. So you didn't try it in women, but you're there, you're going to use it in them more than 2/3 of the time because we just live longer. Yeah, we wait longer in emerge for a heart attack given there are symptoms. Symptomology is not the same. We are often forget about libido. Well, let's talk about libido, one whole episode on libido. God forbid a man came in without a libido. It'd be like, here's 14 different pills to get you, ready to rock and roll and come back tomorrow if none of them work. For women, it's like, I don't know, did you try having a bath?
They're like, did you have some tea?
Maybe just, meditate.
Go for a walk. It's funny. It's funny we're talking about this right now because I hate going to doctors.
Yeah.
Loathe entirely. And I am very good about making sure my kids see the doctor when they're supposed to and all those. But I realized at the beginning of this year that it had been 2 years since I had done any of my screenings.
What is wrong with you?
Listen, okay,
You're,
I'm busy.
you
I'm
just
busy. But so over the past 2 weeks, I have seen every single freaking doctor. I got my
Good for you.
mammogram. I got like all of my blood work done and all this stuff. And I was sitting there thinking, when it comes to like men and women and the amount of pain that we have to go through during certain just routine things, I'm like, no man would do this. They would put them under to have this
Listen,
done.
we'll go back
They
to
would they would put them under to have this done.
I'm gonna go back for a second to what you said before about being yourself always. So I spent a good amount of time working in the hospital when I first got out of school, and I worked in the labs, and so we were always drawing blood work. And there's a prostate test for men that's just a blood test, and it's definitive. You either are like you have prostate cancer or you don't. It's like a number, right? It's called a PSA. And in Canada, it was not covered by Canadian health coverage, which is almost unheard of. But to be clear, it was $15. It wasn't $1,000,000. So we had to
It wasn't
collect.
like it was 1,500.
No, we drew a vial of blood, takes 30 seconds, and you collected $15 from the man. And I remember this gentleman. So I'm in my mid 20s and he's late 50s, early 60s. And he's just livid that I am asking for $15 for this blood test. And I looked at him and I'm like, I'll trade you. And he's like, what? I said, do you know what we have to go through as a woman to make sure that we don't have cancer? We put our legs in our stirrups, it gets open wide and somebody scrapes it with a fucking toothbrush. I'll to give you $15 to just take a blood sample. Like, I was like, bro, if you had to do what we do in a pap test, you'd be like, just give me the cancer. Get me the fuck out of here. I'm never checking that.
Well, it's funny. So speaking of cancer, which is not a funny
Dear
topic,
God.
I just said it's funny, cancer. So there's this new test. It's a blood test that you can get. It's like there's a couple of them, but I got it last year because it was for a client that I was working on. I was checking out their competition, and it was a blood test to detect cancer in your body, in your blood.
Free floating cancer cells, yeah.
Yeah, and which is, I guess, the quickest way that you can determine if you have cancer or not. So on New Year's Day last year, I get an email with my test results. And I'm like,
do I open this?
Oh, shit. What if
You sent an email?
well, so it was, you were supposed to go back to your doctor. They obviously, and it was not covered. It was like $1,000, right? But I was like sitting there and I drank half a bottle of wine and then I opened it and I was like, all right, here we go. Like, let's see. I mean, clearly they have like a patient pathway journey they need to figure out.
There's a customer experience they might want to tweak there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But hey, listen, if we can detect cancer in stage 1 and stage 2, like amazing. That should probably be covered by healthcare too, because guess what? Costs a whole lot less than treating cancer. All right, we're going back to the topic list. We're also going to talk about things like children and those things. So I have 2 kids.
Yes.
I have a 10-year-old little girl and a 6-year-old little boy. I was geriatric pregnant both times.
I mean,
how dare you? How dare you? How dare you?
What marketer decided that was the name of it?
Well, it wasn't a marketer, I guarantee it. It was an accountant or a CEO or someone who was like, geriatric pregnancy. It says exactly what it is. No, it actually doesn't. It's the worst term ever. Can we please change it? Anyway, so I have 2 kids and they play competitive sports, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yay, because I love sports and I can watch my kids play sports all day.
Sports.
Yeah. We'll be telling stories about our kids. And Kelly, you're in a different life stage with your kids.
I am. Speaking of geriatrics, I am in a different stage of life. I have 3 kids. I have a yours, a mine, and an ours, and I love them all equally.
No, you don't.
They used to say, oh, Mom, you have a favorite. And I said, guys, I am equally mean to all of you. That is the best way. So I have 2 boys who are both 25 and living on their own as adults, which is frightening and amazing in equal measure. And I have a daughter who lives down here in California with us who is turning 19 in like 10 days. And I don't know how that happened, that all of my humans are adults-ish. So yeah, this is my second go around at life. I have a husband that I've been with for 20 plus years. Second time. So we could talk about that, raising kids in divorce and trying to figure your shit out. That there's so much we could talk about. It's all under the umbrella of how to not raise assholes and fuck up their life. We'll just put it under that umbrella.
I had a friend a long time ago who said this to me, and it was when I'm in those moments of where you're just like, I am clearly, this is going to be a conversation with their therapist at some point. Like, what's happening right here? She's like, listen, you're going to give your kids baggage. Keep it carry-on size, not checked.
Keep it carry-on. Keep it carry-on.
I was like, I don't know if she came up with that on her own, but I was like, carry-on size, Christy, carry-on size. They're going to get baggage. You're not perfect.
Well, and honestly, we're both Gen Xers, though. You're just sitting on the cusp. I know you just squeaked in there.
No,
But you were also one of 9, so that gives you bonus points because we were basically feral, right? That's how we were raised, and now we're trying to gentle parent these kids, and I'm like, I don't know how to gentle parent. I don't know how to gentle anything. I'm humongous and loud, so carry on baggage only, Jack.
Carry on baggage only, please.
Yeah, we got that covered. Kids, families.
Let's see what else we're going to talk about. Anything else we feel like. We're going to talk about anything that we feel like. And pop culture ridiculousness. We are not going to be covering politics, or we're just not covering politics.
We're not go there. No, we can't go there. It's too serious. I sent our Spotify link to my brother. He's a year older than me. He's a firefighter. He is black and white, and I am all kinds of gray. So we're very different, but I love him.
Are you 50 Shades of Gray?
Sometimes. Not enough according to my husband. Anywho,
wow.
I sent this to my brother. He sends me a text back, and he's like, I got 2 minutes into it. I love you, Kel, but there's no part of me that wants to listen to my baby sister talk about her lady bits. That's fair.
That's fair.
That's the kind of vibe that I want to give off on this podcast. Just a little bit like funny, and also where my mom might just be like, dude, I raised you better.
Okay. So I have to go.
Any hoodles.
It was great talking to you, Kelly. For anyone that was listening, come back, join us. Also, follow us on Instagram. And what else are we on? We're on Instagram, Meta, TikTok.
YouTube, TikTok, all the things my daughter's putting us on.
Also, comment if there's any topics that you want covered. Please, please, please.
Tell us.
We know an expert. We're not.
If we don't know an expert, we'll pretend to be an expert. There you go. I don't only play one on TV.
But in my spare time, I do this thing though sometimes where I will say something so emphatically, and then someone will look at me and it's like, is that true? I'm like, I don't know, but it makes sense to me.
Listen, just own it. Eyes wide open, face
sure.
forward. Yeah,
sure.
Confidence is king.
Anyways, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other.
Make it a good one.
We'll talk to you later, Kelly. I'll talk to you later. Bye, girl.